Hello, my name is Karen Allen. Welcome to Adventures in Dolls, the United Federation of Doll Clubs YouTube channel. Today our program is titled Dolls from Christmas Past, and it's presented by Dale Bochy. If you're a returning member and you've enjoyed the videos, please let us know. Leave us a note in the comments section. If you're a brand new member to our channel, welcome. We're so happy to have you. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. So you don't miss your next adventure in dolls. And now, let's join Dale for Dolls of Christmas Past.
The next big doll that I had was a Barbie. So no memories at all growing up. But by the time the 1980s came and I was a bona fide doll collector, I really started enjoying Ginnies. And I had a number of them in the museum. And now I believe these are the only three I have left. And again, Jenny Graves created the Vogue doll company, which was a cottage industry. It helped women get a little money when they were sewing the clothes. But the one in the flowered outfit in the dark green is called a square dance Ginny. And then I have my 1952 poodle cut Ginny, and then the coronation Ginny in honor of Queen Elizabeth's coronation in 1952. So these, I think, like I said, I think those are the last I have left of Ginnies. Now comes the 1940s. Now, Terry Lee, I call her an acquired taste. I absolutely love Terry Lee dolls. They are, there's something about them. They're very distinguishable. You know them from across the room that you're looking at a Terry Lee doll. And the first two dolls came from a lady. Her name was Nancy from Wyoming. And she did a Terry Lee program at the museum. And the other, if I can show it to you even bigger, is my Terry Lee that I purchased from a woman who said she would only sell to a museum. And I'm really grateful I got her. Unfortunately, I sold her, but she came with so many outfits. She was a real treasure. I always laugh because all these Terry Lee people would come into the museum and they would wink about the factories burning down because Gradwall, that her name was Gradwall, and she created the Terry Lee for, I believe it's her daughter. And they had one accident in Nebraska where they had a fire and the Terry Lee factory was closed. And then it moved to California where there was another fire. So Terry Lee has got quite an interesting life. So, and you can find Terry Lees. They used to be far more expensive than they are now. So if you love this doll, this is the time to get her. Now the next one is beloved Shirley's. made of composition, and that beautiful mohair, the curly mohair. These dolls were in the museum, and alas, they are all gone. But I enjoyed their stay. The one in the red with the Shirley Temple pin, that has a story. The pin has a story and not the doll. But the pin, I had a friend who bought, whose parents bought her a Shirley Temple, and she decided to give Shirley a bath in the horse trough. And she forgot her and walked away. And when she came back, the only thing left of her Shirley was the button. And that was it. The water took Shirley away. So she completely decomposed in the horse trough. But she gave that button to me. And I'll always chuckle when I think of Joyce and her Shirley. And so many girls had Shirleys, and it's amazing because it was the height of depression, and Shirleys still were like $3 to $5. So it's amazing, but little girls got their Shirleys. Okay, then the next popular one is the Bilo. Now, I forgot, I got a little sloppy. I don't know if it's BY or if it's BYE, but it's Bilo. And this doll came from a woman who decided she wanted to sculpt a doll. And she sculpted a doll of a newborn baby. And her name was Putman, Grace Story Putman. And she did this in about 1922. And this was such a sensation, this doll was, that people were lined up around the block to try to get a Bilo for the Christmas season in the 1920s. Everybody wanted a Bilo. That's why you can still find them. They're not a very difficult doll to find, but they really are charming. The one in the middle, in the little cradle, is very small, 4 inches, I believe. And it also came wigged, but mine isn't wigged, but she has glass eyes. And the one next to her, in that great crocheted hat, she is a Kessner. And she's just, and I had her a long time. And then she was sold after the museum closed. Now we've got to go to the teens. And this is a Daisy. And if you can remember the story of Daisy, she was a doll that you could get if you sold 3 subscriptions to Good Housekeeping. So lots and lots of girls did that. And that is why you can still find daisies today. Now, when Kessner did the first batch, I believe, and then Heinrich Henward came in and did another batch of dolls. So I'm not sure how many they gave away, but it was substantial. And with her, this sweet little Daisy, she came with her homemade outfits. She was, and I love her wig. It is so soft and pretty. And again, Kessner, what is it, a 171, is not a Daisy unless she is 17 inches. And which I go, wow, who cares? But people who collect daisies care. So here she is, sweet little Daisy. All these stories need to be preserved. And I think we're doing a really good job as doll people to preserve these stories. Now, the next one is a Gibson Girl. Now, Charles Dana Gibson was an illustrator, and he wanted to illustrate the most, beautiful type of girl. At the time, the women's movement was getting stronger and stronger, and he was not a fan of the suffrage movement. So that's why I always laugh and go, I put my votes for women on her, because Mr. Gibson was not that thrilled with the suffragette movement. And she's 20 inches. She has an absolutely beautiful face. I always say she doesn't strike me as a doll that is going to march. It's more like she's a doll that wants you to come over for tea. She's very genteel. I've had her for 30 years. And I don't know if I can show you this or not. I'll bring it over. Can you see that little axe over there? She's got a watch, a pin. She's got her votes for women, and she's got a little axe. That is an original Carrie Nation axe. Carrie Nation was the big prohibitionist who was really against booze of any kind. And she made the very bad mistake, Carrie Nation did, of coming to Butte, Montana. And it's still rough, but Butte, Montana was a mining town, and you don't get in the way of a Butte boy and his beer. And she would come in to try to destroy the bars, because that's what she used her little axe for. And that's why they have these pins. And she would come in and, trash these bars. And they found her and put her on a rail. That lady left town quickly. So poor Carrie Nation, she absolutely, I read her autobiography. She was quite the egotistical woman. But she was on a mission. So on to the next one. Okay. In the 1900s, the teddy bear was really born in the 1900s. Stuffed animals were like stuffed dolls. They'd been around, but nothing like between 1900 and 1910. There's still an ongoing feud whether the teddy bear was invented by the Steiff factory in Germany or the Ideal factory in America. That I'm not sure if that ever did get resolved, but it was within probably months of each other's that they were developed and commercially sold. So I want to show you just a few of these little cuties that I have. That is by the way, on this side, that is a feather tree that I haven't put up yet. But over here, if you go over to the top, you see a little celluloid-faced teddy bear. I am truly amazed that that face survived, because it was very thin celluloid that they had put on. And that was a very popular doll. Now, if you look, come on, to this little baby, this one next to the celluloid faced teddy bear is a stiff bear, and he is very early. He comes with his little hump in the back, and I've had him for probably 30 years as well. He is probably from like 1907. At one time I had him identified, but he doesn't have the little pewter tag in his ear because his ear is gone. So, but other than that, he's worn in some places, but he's still hanging in there. Now, the one that I wanted to show, the stuffed animal that I wanted to show, I chopped him off, and that was the moose, the bull moose. The bull moose was one of the stuffed animals that was really popular in the early 1900s, and he is extremely rare today. But over here, you have the little chicken with the face, and you have, what is that? The pug doll. And you have a monkey and a Scottish terrier. So they were very well, there was a lot of diversity in stuffed animals. Boy, when we hit the Industrial Revolution in the early, 1820s, 1830s, everything changed with the printing press. And, the machines, it's amazing. Now, I love this little doll. I don't regret a lot of dolls I've sold, but I regret her. She was a mess. I had bought her, I believe, from a customer, and she had been in a fire. And the lady who restored her had to go in and clean all of her cloth on her body from the fire. And I put with her, and then she gave her a little hat and spent forever on her dress. And she is the quintessential dolly-faced doll from the 1890s. From Germany, they made 1 million of them. And she was my Christmas doll that I put in front of my Christmas mall that my husband made for me. And we put all these decorations on here and put her in front. And I wish I could say the two Santas next to her were old, but they're not. But man, whoever that artist was did a really, really good job. So there is Christmas. Now, this one, 1880s. 1880s was the Tete Jameau movement. Now, what I am gathering, and boy, if any of you know, let me know. What I gather is brews were never exported out of France, but Jameaus were. So you can see Jameaus being advertised in America for Christmas or in doll shops. But brews, you had to go over there and buy yourself a brew and bring the brews back. That's why it's harder to find brews in America. But this little baby is a Tete Jameau. She's a number 10. And I've had her a long time. I've had her since 2000. In fact, I think she's the last of my Jameaus. I think I've sold all my other Jameaus, but I made her a little Christmas coat. I got inspired. So I found an old red cape, and I just filled it with Christmas goodies for her. But this is a doll that you would find in the 1880s, but little girls, from poor families or poorer families, and probably even middle class families, could not have afforded her. And over here, all these coats, except a few of them, there's like one or two, or well, maybe three that are old. The rest of them were made by a woman by the name of Joyce Keller. She just decided to make all these wonderful red coats for 20-inch dolls. So any of those coats would probably fit this Tate over here, but I haven't tried any of them on her. But I always thought, I'm just going to have a field day one cold January day, and just try coats on her. Now, the next one. We can't have a talk about Christmas without at least one French fashion doll. This doll is not what you would call the highest quality doll. She's not bad. She's very, very sweet. She's a Blampois probably, or a Bawah possibly, although Bawas, a lot of them had EB on them. But even dealers say there are Blampois and Bawas that they cannot, know which one is which. So maybe I can show you what a pretty little thing she is. She has glass eyes and mohair and a kid body, and she's wearing her little ball dress, and she has a number of whites, and she has a wonderful little outfit by the ball gown. It's some sort of a ethnic costume. But so she came fully packed, and sometimes this is what little girls got on Christmas morning. But again, she was not an expensive one. Now we come to Adelaide. My sweet Adelaide. I had to wait years before I could get a Huret. and God bless the Carmel doll shop, because she was on layaway for a long time, and they were very gracious. But I got my Adelaide, and then I started buying clothes. And the beauty of clothes for Adelaide is that you can just ask people, will this dress fit a Huret? And they'll tell you, and it does. It makes it a lot easier than for other dolls. So she is a second generation doll. She has a bisque head, and she has kid over wood, and she has the collarette that says Huret. And one thing I can tell you about Hurets is they were not sold to poor children. They were not even sold to tradesmen. These dolls cost about $150 new. It just blows my mind. I can't believe Madame Huret, or Mademoiselle Huret, that she would have charged so much, because she wanted the little girls to dress her. She did not, so they did not come fully dressed either, or they did not come with full wardrobes. That came later. So you paid dearly for this doll. Now we're on to first generation Huret. Now, really, I wasn't going to talk a lot about um, the background of Huret. But it was a really interesting thing because Adelaide Huret came from, her and her sister developed the Huret Company. And it was basically because Adelaide was 37 years old and she had not been asked to be married, which is a big thing in France. But she, she was really, really lucky because she was well off enough that she could enter the trades. And her trade was she wanted a doll that a child could play with, a child could dress, and it's a perfect third scale doll, and that is 17 inches. So this was the first Huret that Adelaide made. She comes with a wood body. Again, the gutta percha is what they originally used, but it didn't last long. And I think if I was offered a Huret with a gutta percha body, I don't think I would buy it because they're very, very fragile. And I'm afraid if you were just changing her outfit, you may run into problems. So, or I had one gentleman who said that a gutta percha body, he was holding it in his arms and it just blew up on him. So, beware of gutta percha. Now, my girls are spoiled beyond reason. So these are their Christmas presents. The first one is a riding habit. And riding costumes, and it's wool. And all I can think about is those women must have been chronically itching because the wool just blows me away. And but look at the long back of that dress. And she comes with her little hat. I wish she had a riding stick or a riding crop, and no. One of these days, the first time I saw a riding costume was in Theriault's Huret book back in 1993. And man, I don't know if I ever saw another one. I think this was the first one. I found this in July and I was just blown away. They're exceedingly rare. And so is this one. It came out of a gentleman's collection that he had collected all these items many, many years ago, and he was liquidating. So other than that, I probably never would have gotten it. And the beauty is I don't have to give it to Adelaide or Apolline because they can both use it. This one is the next present for my girls, and that is an 1860s party dress. It is like a tie-dyed taffeta. I could see this dress being made by Madame Barreau back in the 1860s. I don't see any signature on it. That doesn't mean there isn't one hid out. But if any of these clothes were laundered at any time, all the signatures would be lost, which is a shame because I'm sure that most clothing were laundered. So this little sweet one is for when they go out and have a good time. Okay, now this is another really scratchy wool outfit. It's an 1840s paper mache nun. And I've always wanted a really good nun doll, but I haven't, I wasn't able to find anything that really hit me until she came along. And the reason I absolutely love her is because of her Queen Victoria hairstyle with the exposed ears and the bun in the back. She's quite the doll. She is in amazingly good shape. I'm thinking that it was probably made in a nunnery and put and hid away for a long period of time. I bought her from a lady in France. And the problem is that I've got more clothes that are supposed to be on her, and I'm not Catholic. So I have no idea. So I invited my friend over who I thought was Catholic, and she couldn't figure out what the clothes were either. But the clothes are just wonderful, and itchy wool. And her body, her hands are made of a very primitive wood. They were just carved by someone. And her body, I think, is handmade. So I think that this lady, this little doll, probably never was in the hands of a child. But nuns did make dolls like this of their order and sold them to little girls. So we can't talk 1840s without talking Chinas. Now, China dolls, there were millions of China dolls made. They are truly, truly a delight. I love Chinas. This little China here that is in the apron, she is what they believe is a Jacob petite. And she comes with a wonderful collection of cotton dresses. She must have about 10 cotton dresses. And her hat is so tiny. It's like the hat of the China in the middle. They are so tiny, but almost every doll in probably every doll manufacturer, except maybe Lenchi, made Chinas. They all had them. Kessner had them. You had Jacob Petit. In Germany, there were just literally millions of them made. And they are amazingly sweet. And little girls could have a China without breaking the bank. Now, this is my great story. I was doing a doll appraisal, and this lady came in, and she must have been close to 90. And I said, let me see your doll. And she had a China doll. And I said, oh, your China's broken. And she says, yes, it has a story. And I says, well, what's the story? And she said, it belonged to my sister. And my sister ran up to her mother and went, mommy, Joey broke my doll. And she was crying, and the mother gets mad at Joey and said, how did he break it? And she said, I hit him over the head with it. So yes, even little girls could be naughty. So again, lots of Chinas. All righty. This doll is my Izannah, and she is a pre-patent Izannah Walker, and patented Izannah Walkers, which I got to tell you, I have never seen of patented Izannah Walker, because I just haven't. But these, she came from probably around 1840s, and at probably the end of the 1840s. And the reason that you know that is if you can look at her little shoes. She does not have the attached shoes, the painted shoes on. She has just regular shoes on. We've never taken the shoes off, nor do I ever intend to, because I don't want anything to happen to her beautiful cloth body. And I'm just leaving those shoes on. Now, this doll is not as expensive as like the $50,000. Oh man, what was the last one? 73,000. This doll has had some paint. Now, her little nose was painted and her forehead was painted. And on the back of her neck, below the hairline, there it was painted. Hallelujah, they did not paint her hair. So her hair is fine and it's old. And so, you know, for that reason, I'm grateful. I have no problem with the paint that they had done. She has the two curls. Everybody loves the two curls. And Izannah Walker's got a story. I mean, you could do, you know, an hour story on Izannah Walker's. But again, little girls, even though she was a cloth doll, little girls had to pay $10 to get an Izannah Walker because, you know, Izannah took her time making these dolls. Obviously, they're 200 years old and they're still here, or almost 200 years old. Now, on to the Bochy model from the 1830s. You got to have a paper doll. And Queen Victoria, that whole era, you know, of her husband bringing the Christmas tree over from Germany because he, you know, he loved Christmas trees, and in Germany, the tradition was to have one. So, and Bochy models came at a time when paper dolls were not that expensive. So even little girls of meager means could own a paper doll. So this doll, you can tell, is from the 1830s by the outfit, but I want to show you what her outfits were. Look at the puffy sleeves and the waist, the defined waist, and just the wonderful colors. It's getting more and more colorful as the decades go by. But she is a double-sided, so she has the back where she's got her cute little bun and she's wearing her corset, and then the front. So, and this doll, believe it or not, came out of England and not of Paris. Now, this little baby, we can't talk about Christmas dolls without talking about Grodner dolls. Now, Grodner dolls are honestly, they made tons and tons and tons of them, and they've really gotten popular. And recently, and they're called all sorts of things. They're called Grodner dolls, tuck combs, peg woodens, but they were mostly made in Germany, in the Grodner doll area of Germany, and that's why they're called Grodner dolls. This little baby has, I think she has 10 dresses. I'm not sure. They all fit her. She's just a real cutie. I got to do a show up, a close up of her face. And she's a little, honestly, the little thing on her head. Oh, tuck comb. That's a little comb on her face. on her head, I mean. And her face is in good shape, and she's not in bad shape. It's amazing. And they made so many of these dolls. Now, there's just a couple more things I want to talk about. One is just, these are all the little things that I picked up when I had the museum. And this down here at the bottom left is one of my Christmas displays. I've got some googlies, and I've got a wonderful tree. I lost that tree. I have no idea what happened to it. And I have this wonderful piano. He made it in 3rd scale. He said he would never do it again. So it's a one of a kind. So a poor guy, he really struggled with that. And then if you look up, there's a roamer. She is my latest acquisition. She comes in the most beautiful blue dress. And over here is a stife with a boot, probably from the 1940s, over here with a whole bunch of goodies in it. And then again, you see my red woolen doll coats. Now, one more thing I want to talk about that is not political, but I really think it would be a really good idea if Americans would do this cultural shift. I don't know how many of you know about a trends. A trends is a wonderful time in France where instead of opening presents and commercializing Christmas, they commercialize New Year's. So, and New Year's, it's called a trends, and that's when the children get the toys. So on Christmas Eve, they go to mass, they go to, various services, and it's a quiet, prayerful time. And then on New Year's Day, they open presents. And it's a time of great celebration that does not commercialize Christmas. And they have been doing this for centuries. And they have toy catalogs, everything that says a trends, and the trends are, just a glorious gift giving time that's a week away from Christmas. Now, I propose, because so many people get distressed by the commercialization of Christmas. We go overboard and we buy too many presents and all of this. Well, this resolves that so that you can have your quiet meditation, and prayer time, and then you can have your gift giving. Now, this little beautiful box, I bought this in, I think it was in Las Vegas. And I bought it at a time where I don't think people were appreciating boxes. But this little girl, this is in a trends box, but I want to show you what's in it. First of all, look at her dress. And then here, this little outfit matches her outfit. So this was meant to be in this box. And this was made as a trend. And, and I'm just grateful to have it. But more than anything, I'm so grateful to do this. I enjoy putting these programs together. I get a little winded and I don't understand PowerPoint. And I sure in heck don't understand Zoom. I don't know if I will ever get that. But thank you very much. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa. I'm not sure what that is, but have a celebratory December. And I'm done.
Well, welcome back. We hope you enjoyed Dolls of Christmas Past by Dale Bochy. We'd certainly like to send a special thank you out to her. She is a UFDC member and a grand supporter of our channel, and we sincerely appreciate it. In the meantime, if you're not already a UFDC member, it only costs $43 a year to be a member for lots of dolly fun. And if you're thinking maybe you don't want to be a member of a club, well, guess what? We have online clubs and members at large. Go online to ufdc.org. And when you sign up to become a member, be sure you tell them Karen sent you. Thanks so much for joining us today. We'll see you next time.